Mr. Tommy Young, a black police officer for the city of Poughkeepsie, was asked by the Dutchess County Sheriff Department to question Tawana at St. Francis Hospital, as it was very clear to the Dutchess County Sheriff Department that white police officers invoked fear in Tawana upon seeing them.
Or that they weren't.
Okay. Are you saying they did not have a black member of the Sheriff Department?
I don't know if they do. I didn't have one on duty at that time.
I see. So now you arrived at the hospital approximately what time?
Approximately 7:45.
Who was present from the Sheriff Department at that time?
Detectives Brazel and Detective Schmidt.
Okay. Did you observe them attempting to question her when upon your arrival?
No, I didn't.
Okay. What were they doing when you arrived there?
They were in a room across the hall from the treatment room Tawana was in.
Mm-hmm. And who brought you into the room?
Actually, I spoke to both detectives. They informed me of what little information they had gained. Excuse me. And I went across the hall on my own to speak to her.
What did they indicate that she had conveyed to them, or anyone for that matter?
They had no information other than her identity.
I see. And then you subsequently questioned her?
Yes.
Okay, what did she say to you? Or what questions did you address to her?
I attempted to gain information on what had occurred, if she could give a description of her alleged assailants, where it had happened, and any information at all.
So what did she say to you in response to your questions?
She made no verbal statements. All of my responses were gained through nods, head shrugs, batting her eyes. She said one word to me the entire time I spoke to her.
And what was that word?
That word was son.
Son? Did she repeat that?
No, she said it once.
Okay. Now, I do know in our previous interview with you, you mentioned that she mentioned white cop.
Right. Those words she wrote.
Those words she wrote. Mm-hmm. In response to what question?
Excuse me. I asked her if she had been raped. She nodded yes.
Mm-hmm.
I put by whom, at which point her aunt or her mother, one, I can't remember which, suggested I give her a pen and a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. I did. She wrote the words white cop.
White cop. Okay. Now let's go back to the question, to the answer son. What question did you, how did she come about giving you the answer son?
In the second part of my interview with her, I asked her if she had heard any conversation between the parties. She nodded yes. And I said, well, who said what? And she very lowly mumbled the word son.
I see.
And I asked her who called who son. She just sort of looked at me.
Okay. Now, while you were questioning her, where were the other officers again?
The detectives were out of the room at that part of the interview. I was in a completely enclosed examination room, just myself and the nurse and Tawana.
Did anyone indicate her response to the representatives from the Sheriff Department which warranted your coming in to question her?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Well, did anyone indicate if she had responded in a very or traumatic way or any kind of way?
From what I was told by the detectives, when they attempted to question her, she just sort of backed off from them and stared at them, made no response at all to any of their questions.
I see. Okay, what condition did you observe her to be in yourself?
She appeared to be traumatized. You know, as I put it, she's spacey. She was just staring off, not really paying attention to anything in the room or anything going on around her.
Mm-hmm. During the course of your presence there?
Yes.
Just dazed and...
In her own little world.
Right. Did she ever attempt to hold your hand or to try and convey any messages by way of her hands to you?
No, when I first arrived after introducing myself, I leaned on the rail of the hospital bed, and she grabbed my hand for a second.
She did?
Yeah.
Was it a tight squeeze or soft?
Fairly soft.
Fairly soft?
It wasn't like shaking hands. It was just, they were dangling over the edge, and she just reached up.
I see. Why do you think she reached up for you?
I have no idea.
No. She discerned that you were a police officer.
Yeah, I was
a
in
black
full
police
uniform.
officer. I see. Mm-hmm. And is there anything else that you observed about her while there?
Just the fact her hair was extremely short and appeared to be ragged, unevenly cut.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now I understand that she did attempt to reach for your badge.
Right. As I leaned over the bed and asked her who had done whatever to her, she reached up and grabbed the badge.
She actually grabbed it.
Yeah.
Huh?
And that's when I can't keep the two apart. Either the mother or the aunt suggested I give her a paper and a pen.
At that point.
Right, and then I did, and she wrote the words "white cop."
I see. Was it very difficult for her to write the word white cop?
The writing was very scribbled, seemed more like a grade schooler than a teenager.
I see.
And the aunt, I think it was made a point of the fact that she wrote it with her right hand and she's supposedly left-handed.
Yeah, I see. Did you notice whether eyes were open or closed or
During the time I was speaking to her, she looked straight at me.
straight?
Showed no emotion or no reaction really, but she did just stare at me.
But you could sense that something had occurred to
Yeah,
her.
that was the gut feeling I had.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.